The abacus is known as the first calculator. The Chinese invented this device in about 3000 BC. The Chinese used this device, which was not known as the abacus yet, to count things and transfers of goods such as stones and sheep. Also, they used it to keep inventory of goods that they owned. As the Silk Road developed, the idea of this inventory and number device traveled to Europe and was adopted by the Greeks, who originally coined the name of abacus, coming from the Greek word abax, which means calculating table. The Greeks and Romans used the abacus for the same reasons as the Chinese, but also added the taxing aspect, in which they could use it to keep track of taxes paid and owed. As time went on, there were four main types of abaci that developed: the Russian, Japanese, Chinese, and European. The one that we are going to focus on is the Chinese version because it was the simplest version to understand.
The abacus was invented in an age before written numerical systems were in place. Merchants primarily used it as a way to count large numbers for stock and money purposes. These abaci were primarily marble, wood, or metal, depending on the age they were from. These existed in multiple cultures, from ancient Babylonia to 17th century Russia. These abaci eventually evolved into the modern calculators and portable computing devices we see in our world today.
The abacus is used as a method of counting and calculating mathematical equations, such as counting, addition, subtraction, multiplying, and dividing. This tool is the earliest form of the modern-day calculator and is still used today in different parts of the world, as well as for visually impaired persons. To understand how the abacus works, first you must identify the different parts of the abacus. For example, the beads located on the upper deck have a value of 5. Each column has one bead on the upper deck. There are 4 beads below on the lower deck that have a value of 1. Next, you must assign a place value to each of the columns of the machine. The furthest right column is the ones place, or 1 through 9. The next column to the left is the tens place, and so on, 10 through 99. Then the hundreds place and the thousands place, etc. Now we can begin counting. In order to do this, start at the ones place on the lower deck and push the beads up one at a time until all the beads are touching the deck. This equals a value of 4. To count higher, push the upper deck bead down so that it touches the deck, and push the lower deck beads back to their original positions at the bottom. The upper deck beads tell us we now have a value of 5, similar to the tally marking method of counting.
As seen in the history and the importance of the abacus, it has traveled all over the world and been used by multiple cultures. But as numbers became more and more complex, the technology became outdated. The abacus could only add, multiply, and subtract, but as algebra, calculus, and other methods of math developed, the need for the abacus started to diminish. That being said, you can still buy the abacus at such places as Target and Walmart. The technology of the abacus has fallen behind, but it is still in use today to teach children more basic math skills that it was used for.